Welcome to Read Your Comics. Today I'm looking at Shawman's Tears #1. Alright, if you've been following my channel, you know that I have been doing the top-selling comics of 1993. I look at it as a pinnacle year where there was just an explosion of comics, a glut, if you will, from Image, Valiant, Marvel pumping out X-Men and Spider-Man, new titles left and right, miniseries. DC had the Reign of Superman and Nightfall going on, and it was just tons of books selling. Image was big for creator-owned books, though. Guys made a lot of money, and more power to them during that time. One thing I found funny about the Image #1s is so many of them had this like black with a foil cover going here. And you know, it's striking, but it doesn't stand out amongst so many other ones. Like, think about it. Tribe #1 was like this. Deathblow #1 was like this. Shadowhawk had a cover like this. So many Image books looked just like this. This one is by Mike Grell, who's, you know, a well-respected veteran of the industry. You basically just got a logo on here, and this black picks up fingerprints like crazy. Now, I think I picked this up in the dollar book, so it probably already had some dings and stuff in it. But some of these fingerprints are definitely mine when I was reading it, so... you know, kind of hard to keep it clean, I guess. Like, I mean, putting fingerprints on it there. I don't think this is a great cover. I think it's got a great logo design. Like, even right, it's like hard to even get it in the light right here. Like that eagle kind of like blasting through. It's got a good design, but I don't think it's a great cover to get your attention. I did buy this originally when it came out too. I didn't stick with this series. I think I bought this first issue because I was buying pretty much anything Image, at least for the first issue, if not the first like 2 to 3 issues. It has a May cover date, so I still would have been pretty deep into it. And knowing Mike Grell, I would say the second issues probably did come out on time, unlike a lot of Image stuff, which was a problem with Image in general. But like I said, Mike Grell was a veteran. He was not some young guy that, you know, sold this book, made a bunch of money, and then like went and played video games for 6 months before he put out a second issue. This was the number 80 selling book of the year. So that tells you again what kind of like staying power not only the Image I had, but you know, you've got like somebody named Mike Grell coming on here who I remember I never heard of Mike Grell when this came out. And it was the comic shop owner who kind of like hit me to like some of his other stuff he'd done. You know, I've looked at it and stuff. I wouldn't say I'm a Mike Grell expert. I could probably spot his art fairly easily. But I remember the comic shop guy being like, Mike Grell's a good creator. This is probably going to be a good title. So let's jump into it. And I read this last night, more or less for the first time. I'm sure I read it when it came out, but other than the main like way the character looked and stuff, I did not remember a thing about it. Mike Grell is the writer and illustrator. He has art assist from Brian Snoddy, color Joe Chiodo, and you got Digital Chameleon working on it. Mike Gold is an editor on here, and he's got kind of like an intro explaining all the work he's done with Mike Grell over the years, which I found interesting. This wasn't a bad book. I actually kind of enjoyed it, and I may end up picking up more issues. It starts out, like I didn't remember any of this, like starting out in space part. The Berlin Wall has come down. There's the space station up here where this Russian cosmonaut has kind of been left in limbo up there while they're, you know, the turmoil of politics, global politics is going on to determine what to do, like to get him down. So he's outside of his like space station working on something when all of a sudden like a pickaxe hits his helmet. And man, this is like this is gory. Look at the swoosh of the blood. I'm guessing like he exploded from the pressures of space once his helmet was compromised. And you've got an American astronaut. There's your space shuttle over there, your American space shuttle. You've got an American astronaut, and a couple of them actually are going to go infiltrate this Russian space base. Look at the eyeball floating by. So pretty intense, pretty good sci-fi start there. And they go in, and it's almost like the island of Dr. Maro. He's working on these genetic experiments up in space and creating these human-animal hybrid creatures, and they attack the astronauts. This is in the past, by the way, for like a few years past. They're attacking the astronauts. Something happens there where they're able to subdue it. They don't really show. Well, I guess he's shooting like a stun gun at it, and they stop it. Now we're going to jump back up to the present. Some beautiful work here by Mike Grell with horses running. You've got this guy on a motorcycle. The motorcycle's drawn like really well. It's an Indian motorcycle. Kind of a weird jacket with these fringe things on there that look almost like, the things on Batman's like arm that come down. But really just some beautiful pencil work on this. And he's going back into this Medicine Hat Reservation. And in his dialogue, his inner narration here, he's saying that he didn't think he would ever go back to this place. Some of the weird storytelling here, though, is it goes back and forth. Now we're not on the Indian reservation anymore. We're at like some kind of corporate retreat. It's not a corporate retreat. Some kind of corporate thing where we're looking at these animal hybrid things. The government's coming to talk about it. This guy's like an old Russian scientist. They explain that these things are being created, and there's like different like civil rights groups and animal activists, religious groups. The KKK are against them. So different factions fighting over where these things should be valued in society. Are they human? Are they just animals? And where do you place the value of that? They mentioned this woman. She's kind of like a bat creature. She can't really see good in low light, but her hearing makes up for it. They're talking about using them for military applications. This one is some kind of woman. She must put out some kind of like pheromone. And they talk about her being like for the potential for being used for recreational use. We go back to the reservation. Our main character here is going to meet up with an old friend on the reservation. There's ambiguity about why he's there. He sees him putting up this thing, and they're going to do a Sundance. And he's like, so they're going to string somebody up, huh? And he's like, yeah, who's it going to be? We don't know yet. Maybe you, or you maybe. So then he goes on out into the woods, because he said she's not there. She's out at this like old fort we built out, our yurt we built out in the woods. So he goes out there. He sees an old man. The old man's kind of like, you stood me up for fishing, how many ever years ago? 12 years ago. And he's kind of like, I don't fit in. He goes into the yurt, and it's his dying mother, and she is a white woman. So we have this one storyline going on about these hybrid animal humans, and now we're finding out that this main character is he's like biracial. He's part Native American, part white. And he discusses like how he never fit in on the reservation, and he also doesn't fit in the outside world. She makes him make a promise, though, to do a vision quest. And he's like, okay, I'll do a vision quest. And she starts to pass. And as he exits the yurt, some of the elders are like, it's you. You have been chosen for the Sundance that they mentioned earlier. And he's like, whoa, no, I'm not doing that. And she's like, you are chosen. You must keep your promise, mother. And she dies. And he talks about why, he asked her why she wasn't getting, and she should be in a hospital. She's like, I went to a hospital. They couldn't do anything with me. I think she basically had cancer. Now we're back over to this corporate thing. We're getting like bookends too. Like what's going on the reservation with this in the middle. And they're going to use this guy. He's like partly spliced with a wolf. And they explain how these, and they call him, well, I guess it's more like a racial term. They call him the blood. That's what I think the KKK was calling him. They call him the blood, and they are bred more with their animal side so that their lifespan is shorter, and they don't live long enough to really become, independent thinkers. So they're displaying his strength of him fighting a bull. And that's when they explain all the stuff about their lifespan and such. And so he's going to do this Sundance, and we're still getting kind of the bookend with what's going on with their... and this is like a pretty brutal thing, where they run these spikes through his chest. Kind of gruesome. And I think this is a real ceremony. It's the Lakota that he mentions. I don't know how much research Mike Grell did into the Lakota people and their traditions and stuff to come up with this book, so I can't really speak on any of that sort of thing. I have vague memories, though, of learning about this type of ritual at some point. It seems very brutal. They hoist him up. They run these like spikes through his chest, and they hoist him up where he's going to essentially have a vision. And he is told he is like one with a wolf, with the wolf spirit. And that's essentially how it ends. So this is, he's strung up and he's having that vision, and I guess he's still having the vision here, but he's in his outfit that would be, I guess, kind of known as like his, I guess you'd call it a superhero outfit like that. And I did find this interesting enough to want to like keep going with it. I don't know why it didn't really appeal to me as a kid. I was probably just reading so much stuff, and since I didn't really know Mike Grell that well, I had a kid budget. I couldn't keep this up forever. I was looking at stuff like this, like Union, and I knew this guy. He's the guy that did Ghost Rider, and I liked Savage Dragon, and I never heard of this title. I don't remember this at all. Crush Velvet, Get Any Woman You Want, Crush Velvet by Larry Stroman and Todd Johnson. I wonder if this came out. Oh no, it's Tribe number 5. See, I didn't stick with Tribe really either. But that is Shawman's Tears number 1. It was a fairly quick read. I think it's beautifully illustrated, and I do find some interest in there that if I run across like 2 through 4, maybe I'll pick those up if I can get them kind of cheap. It'll be something I put on my like keep an eye out for list when I go to the shop or shows or whatever, but it's not going to be something I like actively really like hunt and search for. I don't think it's a great cover. Even with its red foil, just because I don't think it jumps out at you on the shelf. But the interiors are beautiful. They really are. I mean, I really like that. I really like this spread. Some of the character designs, like of the blood, like this is a little too much in a way. Or maybe it's the coloring. Maybe it does work, but it's the coloring is a little, muddies it a little bit, perhaps. Because there's just so much of this dark on the page that kind of distracts from it. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes eventually. I don't know how soon I'll get on it, but there you go. Shawman's Tears number 1, an Image Comics number 80 selling book of the year. Until next time, read your comics.